Here's my theory. We have encountered numerous times, and just this week, in fact, a radicalized teacher in Oroville, California, who doesn't want to teach English because she thinks it's merely a white construct, that it was invented as a means of, or it was invented as a result of white supremacy. And we've seen that in other failed academy situations. In fact, we've seen this most principally in the failed academy, where we're getting the message that achievement in and of itself is thought to be a white construct. 2 plus 2 is not necessarily 4.
Who invented that?
Because 2 plus 2 equals 4 is a white construct. Unfortunately, it stands to reason, and it's already shifted that way, but it stands to reason this kind of radicalized ideology is going to also encompass behavior.
And it already had. Yeah, you're right.
Behavior,
Yes.
and that the law is in and of itself a white construct, an example of white supremacy.
Subject to interpretation. Absolutely.
Subject to interpretation.
Yep.
And why should it be determined that a young black male with a gun is breaking a law? What law is that? Was a law written by white people. That's not a reasonable law. It was written by white people. And in my radicalized ideology, I contend that he is not capable of committing any crime. There is no crime committed, because that's just a crime that you people think is a crime. And so if he wants to hijack a car with a woman in it, that's just a cultural affectation. That has nothing to do with breaking the law, because in my radicalized view of the world, the laws were written by white people.
You know, years ago, that would be so outrageous that you would be saying that right now. That is the path. That's the path we're on.
You're already seeing it. Defund the police movements.
Right.
Lack district attorneys. No bail programs. You're already seeing it. And it could very well get to the point, it's not yet, but look at the
less discipline in schools if you are a black male or female.
And I'm not suggesting police should not have to go through these accountability rituals. Of course they should. But look at what must be done by the police, who are getting really no help from their mayor in this case. He's only grudgingly said, well, he's not grudgingly. You have to go through these accountability steps as well. You should, but it's a process weighted, WEIGHTED. It's weighted in favor of the criminal.
Right.
The criminal is presumed innocent, even with evidence of the criminal shooting at the police. So how long before that won't be a crime?
Well, I was trying.
And therefore, why even have police?
I was trying to find a news story that was submitted to us, but basically there is a group, and their entire motive is getting rid of the prison system in this state,
Well, of
and
course.
in this country.
Yeah.
And it's growing, which is frightening in itself.
Well, that was my theory. My theory is the same kind of radicalized nonsense that where we see these failed academy graduates refusing to teach English because they think it's a trick. They think it's tricked up. They think the rules are arbitrary and whimsical. You shouldn't have to have a thesis. You shouldn't have to have an outline. Some white guy invented that. So turn in any piece of slop you want, and that's going to be good enough. Well, it isn't good enough, but it's good enough if you have this radicalized ideology, which you became imbued in the failed academy, which is doing a wonderful job of completely ruining this country. It's completely ruining this country.
One city at a time.
And I don't care if it's an expensive private school or an inexpensive public school. The failed academy is at the root of ruining this country. And they will be held, they won't even be held responsible. They have trained and graduated so many foot soldiers that there are plenty of them to fill these rapidly developing made-up jobs, which basically exist to contest the history, traditions, and convention of this country. And among those histories, traditions, and conventions would be crimes are bad, and people who commit them, regardless of their race, are criminals. That's on the way out. That is on the way out.
How can we